Hello, I'm John Weiler with the Sovereign Passage Assembly, and this is our daily brief for January 30th, 2019. We're going to continue on with our study of Parashah Beshalach, which means when he let go. The reading for this is Shemot, or Exodus, chapter 13, verse 7, to chapter 17, verse 16. Excuse me. And today we're going to be focusing on chapter 15. The other day we began with the chapter 13 through the end of chapter 14, and we talked about Pharaoh, as he came out, was looking to bring back Yasharel. He came out with a war party, all right, to make war and intimidate, to bring back. That's how we can picture that, and it's through the it's through the great signs and wonders and judgments of Elohim that Yasharel even became, even were even drawn out, and Pharaoh came to make war and to return back into Mitzrayim. So the same thing is occurring with us today. So the last 2 weeks we talked about how the signs and the judgments were a foreshadowing of things to come with Yasharel, and what would happen with the world, with the authority of Elohim that was thrown down by the Kohanim, and now the authority is given to the serpent. So we have darkness and death, the death of the firstborn, Yasharel. And now, today, we're given this wonderful gift, specifically now, to come back into the relationship through YAHUAH HaMashiach, who is our Passover covering. And we're given the path now for the relationship, because that's ultimately why we're doing any of this. Okay, why anybody has chosen to hearken to the words of Elohim, because you want relationship, and you may not really truly realize that right away, because it's a very challenging very challenging lifestyle, or direction of our ruach, our heart, to come away from in this day and age especially. But to really truly understand the reasons why we are following the Mashiach, following the Lamb wherever he goes, and choosing to do that, choosing to change our lives, it boils down to relationship. Because what we're learning right now is it's Elohim that saves. Okay, so YAHUAH is I am he who saves. So it's Elohim that does these things. Today we're going to hear that it is Elohim who heals. And we see that through I am he who saves, YAHUAH, when he heals. And most of the healing that we get, or the significant points, are done on Sabbath, which is our first appointed time, first moed that we discussed last week. Our first appointment is Sabbath. So what we are looking at here, though, is the relationship and how we are approaching the relationship. Because there are many things in this world today that we have come out of, and just from our nature as human beings, that want, we have these things that we feel that we need or that we want in our lives, and so we're just going to pray about it. Pray to God for this. And what portion of the relationship is that? That prayer right there. What focus for the things of this world is part of the relationship that we are to have with Elohim. Because what we get here, once we learn his word, and we can see truly our role in this world, that the things that we have here, he provides for us regardless. Regardless, he knows what we need before it happens. In all things, every single thing that happens, for what we see as good as human beings and what we see as bad as human beings, is all for the will and the good and the glory of YAHUAH. That's every single thing that occurs here. So for us to be praying for things, what are we thinking about in our relationship with Elohim? What are we truly desiring? Because we're at that point, we're really desiring benefit. We're not desiring the relationship. We want the benefit. So or we can even look at it as blessing. But that's much of the lifestyle that we've come out of, me specifically, out of the Christian churches, is that what we pray for. Okay, we pray for the stuff. We pray for rain. We pray for somebody sick. Please heal them. I need to pay. I don't have enough money this month, so please give me money. All of those things. But Elohim knows we need these things before we even ask. So where's our faith there? Why are we asking? But that's the really true core of our thought process when approaching Elohim, is to ask him for all these things. But we're not seeking relationship. Okay, to ask for those things, we're not seeking relationship. So to seek relationship, it takes two. So we have the complete word of YAHUAH today. We have the Mashiach, who is our first appointment that we have. Well, our second and third, I guess, with the Passover and unleavened bread. And then we can see later the first fruits that come within that time span, which are his death, resurrection. So we have that appointment that's already been kept with us. Sabbath is the first appointment, first moed, and that will be kept with us when Yahushua returns. So we'll have our Sabbath's rest when we are raised with him, changed to be like him. The fall festivals, or the fall moed, the fall appointments, they point to the end that we're looking forward to, is when he returns. So the relationship here is he has these things laid out for us that he has said to do for us to keep, and that he keeps with us. So he keeps his promises. So it's up to us now to enter into the relationship. But it truly does come with the desire, is for us to really look at, well, what are we doing here? How are we approaching our moments to reflect the goodness of the glory, the goodness of YAHUAH, which is the way, okay, the way that we are to be through his word, which is holy or set apart because he is holy. When we do things like that, the prayer for the material things, we already have faith in our covenant partner that knows what we need before we ask. It's going to take care of it. And it doesn't matter anyways, because our time here is a struggle, because we're struggling against the things that we internally desire, and we're also struggling against those making war on the remnant of the woman that we discussed. So with Pharaoh coming out, wanting to pull them back, we are at war. The dragon. Okay, the dragon is ultimately working, which is the serpent, which is Hasatan, is working through everyone that gives the authority to him. Okay, so that's by the thoughts, words, and actions. And everything around us is trying to pull us back, trying to take us back, physically in some cases. And it's up to us to seek the relationship. So, with that being said here, now Yasharel has crossed the Red Sea, walked that narrow path, okay, has come through the waters, and now they're being led into the wilderness. Okay, so the wilderness. Now that's truly where we're at right now, because the wilderness is the time of teaching and testing. Okay. All right, so to begin here, let's start with where we are, and let's go to Revelation chapter 15, and we're going to read 1 through 4. So, Ki Zion, our Revelation, chapter 15, verse 1 through 4. And I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels, having the 7 last plagues, for in them is filled up the wrath of YAHUAH. And I saw, as it were, a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten the victory over the beast, and over his image, and over his mark, and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass, having a kithara of YAHUAH. And they sing the Song of Mosheh, the servant of YAHUAH, and the Song of the Lamb, saying, Great and marvelous are your works, YAHUAH Elohim Zebaoth. Just and true are your ways, King of the Kodashim. Who shall not fear you, O YAHUAH, and glorify your name? For you only are holy. For all nations shall come and worship before you, for your judgments are made manifest. Okay, so this is a little bit further into the prophecy given to Yehukanan in the revelation of Mashiach, but for what is to happen and what is happening. Okay, so much of this is occurring and has been occurring since he left. We've been in the end time since Mashiach rose again and then ascended into Shamayim, or the expanse above, heaven. So for us here, though, for those who had gotten the victory over the beast, over his image, over his mark, and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass, having the kithara of YAHUAH. They sing the Song of Mosheh, the servant of YAHUAH, and the Song of the Lamb. So we're singing 2 songs here. Okay, so we have the commands of YAHUAH, which is being in covenant, back into relationship with YAHUAH through the Mashiach. Okay, through faith or belief in Yahushua, the Messiah. So that is what we should be looking forward to. Okay, this is what we want to be setting our eyes on, to be single on the way of Yah. Because if we do that, then everything else around us is truly not a big deal. Okay, the things of this world, because they will fade very, very quickly. Okay, so now singing the Song of Mosheh, that's what we're going to study today in Shemot chapter 15. So let's go back to our the portion of the Torah, and the reading that we're going to do is chapter 15, 1 through 27. And let's read it and we'll talk about it. Then sang Moshe and the children of Yasharel this song unto YAHUAH, and spoke, saying, I will sing unto YAHUAH, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider has he thrown into the sea. Yah is my strength and song, and he will become my Yeshua. He is my El, and I will prepare him a habitation. My father's Elohai, and I will exalt him. YAHUAH is a man of war. YAHUAH is his name. Pharaoh's chariots and his host has he cast into the sea. His chosen captains are also drowned in the Red Sea. The depths have covered them. They sank into the bottom as a stone. Your right hand, O YAHUAH, is become glorious in power. Your right hand, O YAHUAH, has dashed in pieces the enemy. And in the greatness of your excellency have you overthrown them that rose up against you. You sent forth your wrath, which consumed them as stubble. And with the blast of your nostrils the waters were gathered together. The flood stood upright as a heap, and the depths were congealed in the heart of the sea. The enemy said, I will pursue, I will overtake, I will divide the spoil. My lust shall be satisfied upon them. I will draw my sword, my hand shall destroy them. You blew with your ruach, the sea covered them. They sank as lead in the mighty waters. Who is like unto you, O YAHUAH, among the Elohim? Who is like you, glorious in holiness, fearful in praises, doing wonders? You stretched out your right hand, the earth swallowed them. You, in your mercy, have led forth the people which you have redeemed. You have guided them in your strength unto your holy habitation. The people shall hear and be afraid. Sorrow shall take hold of the inhabitants of the Pelesheth. The dukes of Edom shall be amazed. The mighty men of Moab, trembling, shall take hold upon them. All the inhabitants of Canaan shall melt away. Fear and dread shall fall upon them. By the greatness of your arm they shall be as still as a stone. Till your people pass over, O YAHUAH, till the people pass over, which you have purchased. You shall bring them in, and plant them in the mountain of your inheritance, in the place, O YAHUAH, which you have made for you to dwell in the sanctuary, O Adonai, which your hands have established. YAHUAH shall reign forever and ever. For the horse of Pharaoh went in with his chariots and with his horsemen into the sea, and YAHUAH brought again the waters of the sea upon them. But the children of Yasharel went on dry land in the midst of the sea. And Miriam the prophetess, the sister of Aharon, took a timbrel in her hand, and all the women went out after her with timbrels and dances. And Miriam answered them, Sing ye to YAHUAH, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider has he thrown into the sea. So Moshe brought Yasharel from the Red Sea, and they went out into the wilderness of Shur. And they went 3 days in the wilderness and found no water. And when they came to Marah, they could not drink the waters of Marah, for they were bitter. Therefore the name of it was called Marah. And the people murmured against Moshe, saying, What shall we drink? And he cried unto YAHUAH, and YAHUAH showed him a tree, which when he had cast into the waters were made sweet. There he made for them a statute and an ordinance, and there he proved them. And he said, If you would diligently hearken to the voice of YAHUAH Elohim, and will do that which is right in his sight, and will give ear to his commandments, and guard all of his statutes, I will put none of these diseases upon you, which I have brought upon the Mitzrayim, for I am YAHUAH Ropheka, which is YAHUAH who heals you. And they came to Elim, where were 12 wells of water and 70 palm trees, and they encamped there by the waters. Okay, so the song sang by Moshe, the Song of Mosheh, is speaking directly to the Messiah, and for what we how we approach the relationship. Okay, how we approach him through the Mashiach, through him, YAHUAH, who has redeemed us. So back at the beginning of chapter 15, Moshe and the children of Yasharel, they sang this song unto YAHUAH, and spoke, I will sing unto YAHUAH, for he has triumphed gloriously. Now, we relate Elohim to YAHUAH, because when we know people, we get their name, okay, who they are. Okay, what's your name? That's how we're introduced to people, and that's how we picture people. Okay, we picture people with their face, what they overall look like, some cases how they behave, and then we associate that with their name. YAHUAH is not a proper name. YAHUAH is a statement of being. I am that I am. Yah Asher Yah. Okay? YAHUAH. I am that I am. I will be that I will be is what that could mean also. So that tells us, more than just, I'm going to pray to this being that I'm putting in my mind with this name, YAHUAH. And it's the same with Elohim. Okay, Elohim is the master, El. We look at it as God, but I don't know where the word God comes from. It's Theos in the Greek, and it's El in the Hebrew. But Elohim is plural. Then we learn with the Ruach HaKodesh and the glory or the face of Elohim is that this is many powers. Okay, Elohim is a master of many powers. And it's the powers, though, is the characteristics of YAHUAH. All right? So YAHUAH is the way. So the way. So when we look at it here, we should be looking at a larger perspective for this name of YAHUAH, for the way, okay, a way of being, or the way of being. So the song here is, I'm going to sing this song unto the way of being, which is eternal. And spoke, saying, I will sing unto the way of being, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider has he thrown into the sea. I am, Yah, is my strength and song. The eternal is my strength and song. And he has become my Yeshua, which is salvation. So he, YAHUAH, the way, has become my salvation. He is my El. He is my God. He is my El. And I will prepare him a habitation. Okay, our habitation for the Ruach HaKodesh that's given to us through Mashiach. Okay, for us in this time, I will prepare for him a habitation. And we've talked about that as the Passover, the Moed, the appointment, when we have the covering of Mashiach, and then we go directly into unleavened bread where we take the sin out of our lives. That's where we start to separate ourselves from the world to be holy, or as he is holy. So, the way of YAHUAH, I will sing unto the way of YAHUAH, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider has he thrown into the sea. I am is my strength and song. So he will become my Yeshua. He is my El. I will prepare him a habitation. Okay, this is our statement now. So that is what we are in the process of doing, is through the Mashiach, through Yahushua HaMashiach, he has thrown the horse and rider. He has conquered all. And now we are leaning on him through the gift of the Messiah, and we are preparing a habitation for the Ruach HaKodesh. My Father's Elohai, and I will exalt him. I will raise him up. So that means that we pull ourselves back, humble ourselves. YAHUAH is a man of war. YAHUAH is his name. Okay, I am that I am is his name. I am that I am is a man of war. I am that I am is his name. Pharaoh's chariots and his hosts has he cast into the sea. His chosen captains are drowned in the Red Sea. The depths have covered them. They sank to the bottom as a stone. So we talked about in the last reading that YAHUAH shall fight for you, and you shall hold your peace. That's what Moshe says in verse 14. He says, we don't do the fighting, okay? He does it for us, as we see what fighting is, because that's the conflict, the chaos of the world that we live in. Human beings are. So verse 6 is, your right hand, O YAHUAH, has become glorious in power. Your right hand, O YAHUAH, has dashed in pieces the enemy. Okay, our Mashiach, Yahushua HaMashiach, is the right hand. Okay, and that's where he sits. What we have this picture of, sitting at the right hand of YAHUAH, okay, or Elohim. Okay, but it has become, or is become glorious in power. Your right hand, O YAHUAH, has dashed in pieces the enemy. Okay, our adversary, Satan, Ha-Satan. And in the greatness of your excellency, you have overthrown them that rose up against you. You sent forth your wrath, which consumed them as stubble. In the blast of your nostrils, the waters were gathered together. The flood stood upright as a heap in the depth, which were congealed in the heart of the sea. And Ha-Satan, the enemy, said, I will pursue, I will overtake, I will divide the spoil. My lust shall be satisfied upon them. I will draw my sword, my hand shall destroy them. Okay, that should put into our minds here the peril that is around us, and the statement of the enemy for the remnant of the seed of the woman, okay, as is put to us in Revelation, that now that the dragon has come to make war on this remnant, which is what we profess to be. We profess to be Yasharel, okay, and we profess to want to be in the relationship with the YAHUAH. So now we have the statement of Ha-Satan, the enemy, and what the intention of the enemy is for us today. In verse 10 says, you blew with your Ruach, the sea covered them, they sank as lead in the mighty waters. Okay, so That's what's going to happen when Mashiach returns. So we're talking about where we place our faith, our belief and faith. Okay, that's on YAHUAH. Who is like unto you, O YAHUAH, among the Elohim? Who is like you, glorious in holiness, fearful in praises, doing wonders? You stretched out your right hand, the earth swallowed them. In your mercy have led forth the people which you have redeemed. You have guided them in your strength unto your holy habitation. Okay, so stretched out his right hand. Okay, that's what's currently happening right now with the awakening that we are experiencing in this world in this time, to where Yah was calling his people, stretching forth his hand and calling his people. And he did the same thing with Mashiach. Okay, Mashiach's his right hand, and that is what redeemed us. Okay, he redeemed us with his right hand, Yahushua HaMashiach. The earth swallowed them. Okay, the water that goes forth from the mouth of the dragon in Revelation 12:17, or chapter 12, that the earth opens its mouth and swallows that water. Okay, because the water was sent forth, the words of the dragon, the serpent, was sent forth to drown the remnant of the seed of the woman. Earth opened its mouth and swallowed that water, okay, to preserve the remnant. And that is the words of the serpent, which we talk about when Hasatan, or the devil, tempts Yahusha in the wilderness by using the words of Yah incorrectly, okay, using it in vain. And Yahusha corrects the devil correctly with the words of YAHUAH. So, continuing on, verse 14 says, the people shall hear and be afraid. Sorrow shall take hold of the inhabitants of the Pelesheth. The dukes of Edom shall be amazed. The mighty men of Moab, trembling, shall take hold upon them. All the inhabitants of Canaan shall melt away. Fear and dread shall fall upon them. By the greatness of your arm they shall be as still as stone, till your people pass over, O YAHUAH, till the people pass over, which you have purchased. Okay, and that's us now. We have been purchased with the blood of the Lamb. Okay, so that redemption, the propitiation that Mashiach has given for us, YAHUAH, through the Mashiach, is our opportunity to come back into relationship. And we were bought with that, paid for with that price. So we were redeemed, we were purchased by YAHUAH through Yahushua the Messiah. You shall bring them in and plant them in the mountain of your inheritance, in the place, O YAHUAH, which you have made for you to dwell in the sanctuary, O Adonai, which your hands have established. YAHUAH shall reign forever and ever. Okay, and this tells us about the kingdom of YAHUAH. But we are also have the sanctuary within our tabernacles, which is our bodies. Because right now our bodies are our tabernacles, are our tents, our sojourning dwelling place for our Ruach. And we're having a sanctified vessel through the truth, through the word of YAHUAH, so that we can have the dwelling place for the Ruach HaKodesh. Because YAHUAH will not draw near to the unrighteous. Okay, so we can see here in the sanctuary, you'll bring them into the mountain of your inheritance, into a high place, O YAHUAH, which you have made for you to dwell in, the sanctuary, O Adonai, which your hands have established. Okay, so the sanctuary, the only opportunity that we have has come through Yahushua HaMashiach, which is the word of YAHUAH made man. Okay, so he has the Ruach, the complete Ruach Elohim. That's Mashiach, and we have that same opportunity, okay, to be as Mashiach. That's why we're called to walk as he walked. And from here, what we're going to be learning in the Torah is to be as Yah, is to be holy as he is holy. So the concept here is there's nothing different from the beginning. Okay, and really what we're seeing is that the end is foretold from the beginning with all things, all throughout this word. It's like just a spiral of cycles. and we're part of that cycle. But for us to see it is extremely important, because then we know our purpose. Okay, our purpose is to walk as the Mashiach walks, so we have Ruach Elohim, so our words are the words of healing, of living water. And that's our role. But we can't do that if we're not approaching the relationship with a true heart, okay, with a desire. We want to be like our Mashiach. And when we want to be like him, we are getting rid of all the chametz, or all the leaven in our lives, the sin. We're pulling ourselves out of relationships. We are establishing relationships that build up to be single in the way of Yah. We are taking the things away from us in our life that cause our eye to see darkness, to be darkness. But it is our purpose. I mean, that's what it really begins to establish with us as to why we're here. And that's something that man is always constantly searching for. But it's given to us right here. We just have to want it. We have to want it. And we have to understand that we're entering into a relationship here. We're not asking for things. We're asking for a relationship. Please don't leave me. That's what we should be praying. Please don't leave me. I'm sorry. Thank you for the opportunity. Please stay with me. Okay, and then verse 19 said, "For the horse of Pharaoh went in with his chariots and with his horsemen into the sea. And YAHUAH brought again the waters of the sea upon them. But the children of Yasharel went on dry land in the midst of the sea." Okay, and that's what, we are seeing right now in the world. I'm part of it. Praise Yah. Never in my life would I have ever in my wildest dreams thought that I would be here talking about the word of Yah. Like this especially. Praise Yah. So we are being pulled, and we are walking through on dry land at the moment. Okay? And it's up to us, though, to stay on that path, so we're not being pulled to the left or the right, or walking to the left or right. Then verse 20 to 22, Miriam, the prophetess, the sister of Aharon, which is also the sister of Moshe, but it's put to her as the sister of Aharon. She had a timbrel in her hand, which it seems like a tambourine, and all the women went out after her with timbrels and with dances. And Miriam answered them, saying, Sing ye to YAHUAH, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider has he thrown into the sea. Okay, so Mashiach. All right, so now the accuser is cast out of Shamayim because of Mashiach. Okay, because of YAHUAH through the Mashiach. And now we sing ye to YAHUAH, for he has triumphed gloriously. The Mashiach for us, for our sake. And then Moshe and Yasharel brought Yasharel from the Red Sea, and they went into the wilderness of Shur, and they went 3 days in the wilderness and found no water. So I did some looking into the different words here. So like sing and song, they have a root of Shur, okay, and it's SHUWR, and that root for sure is to sing while you're strolling. Okay, kind of like the way that it was put with the Strong's Concordance, the usage of the words here was like a minstrel, somebody that's walking and singing a song joyfully. And it's the same root as the wilderness of Shur here in verse 22. Okay, so they're gone out singing the song as they are moving. Okay, so we look at that, or can look at that, as the springs of living water, because that's what we're doing right now, is singing the song of Moshe, which is the way of YAHUAH given through Moshe for us. Okay, so we are being the springs of living water. Okay, so all we go is the potential for healing. Okay, because that is, I am YAHUAH who heals you, and that's done through the words. But Yasharel goes from the Red Sea into the wilderness of Shur, which is to go forth singing while strolling, and they went 3 days in the wilderness and found no water. Then they came to a place called Marah, and they could not drink the water of Marah because it was bitter. Bitter waters. So we see when we speak most of the time the healing words of YAHUAH, it's bitter. It does not sound good to the unbeliever. And they recoil and in some cases lash out because of the words. They're not words of healing to them, they're words of bitterness. And the water here, Marah, means bitter. That's the word, is bitter. And then the people murmured against Moshe, saying, "What shall we drink?" And Moshe cried to YAHUAH, and YAHUAH showed him a tree, and it is a tree. It's like oak or wood. And it's cast into the waters are made sweet. And we can see that again with our Mashiach, with his propitiation, with the waters that have become bitter, going forth, speaking, singing while strolling, okay, sure. But then at a certain point, that words become bitter. The water is word, okay, becomes bitter. And we see that up until the time of the fulfillment of the Torah, or the completeness of the Torah through Mashiach, that the words became sweet. Okay, the words of Yah became sweet, and they are. They're like, it's like honey in our mouth now, and that's all that for those who want the relationship. It's all we want to talk about. We just want to talk about the word of Yah all the time. And what it says here is that he made them a statute and an ordinance, and he proved them. And then he says, if you will diligently hearken to the voice of YAHUAH Elohim, and will do that which is right in his sight, and will give ear to his commandments, and guard all his statutes, I will put none of these diseases upon you, which I brought upon the Mitzrayim, for I am YAHUAH Rofeka, or YAHUAH who heals you. So it seems that the covenant, which is what we have as the 10 Devarim, seems that something was given to him, to Yasharel. And it may not have been the completeness, because the covenant ceremony has not taken place yet. But what will bind them in relationship, okay, this covenant becomes a marriage covenant. But it seems that something has happened here through the waters. Now, through the making of the bitter to the sweet waters. And we have made for them a statute and an ordinance, and he proved them. So that's for us too, for our long suffering and our endurance, is to always go back to his way in all things. Okay, when we get upset, when we get angry, when we think that we need things in this world that YAHUAH is going to provide no matter what, or we want to elevate ourselves and make ourselves, keep ourselves in this place that we've made up in our mind that we deserve, okay, as far as respect and things like that. Because we're not going to get respect in this world speaking these healing words, because they're bitter to the unbeliever. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to end out our portion here. We were going to read Isaiah 59, when it speaks of our Redeemer and the redemption from YAHUAH. But and that's something that I would suggest you take some time and read that. But let's go to Colossians, and we're going to read Colossians 1 through 29. Because it is important for us to understand. We need to know the history of Yasharel. We need to know the history of the world. But ultimately, what's being told to us in the Torah is relationship. Okay, so we're now at the beginning of establishing a relationship, which is being holy as he is holy. So the relationship is to be the same. So to be like we were in the beginning. So for us today, we are given that gift to be that way through Yahushua HaMashiach, Yahushua the Messiah. So what's very important for us to wrap our minds around, especially coming out of a church environment like myself, is that we're called to be the first fruits, as our Mashiach, who's the firstborn of the first fruits, okay, of the resurrection, firstborn of the resurrection. So to tie together what we discussed last week with the first appointment with our Mashiach being the firstborn of many brethren. So that is our goal, or the outcome of our relationship when we have Ruach Elohim, okay, the Ruach HaKodesh, when we are cleaved together and become one with the Ruach HaKodesh. Okay, so Colossians, we're going to read chapter 1 through 29. Paul, an apostle of Yahushua HaMashiach, by the will of YAHUAH, and Timotheus, our brother, to the Kodashim and faithful brethren in Mashiach, who are at Colossae, grace be unto you and peace from Yahushua our Father and Adonai Yahushua HaMashiach. We give thanks to YAHUAH and the Father of our Adonai Yahushua HaMashiach, praying always for you. Since we heard of your belief in Mashiach Yahushua and of the love which ye have to all the Kodashim, for the hope which is laid up for you in heaven, whereof ye heard before in the word of the truth of the Besorah, which is come unto you as it is in all the world, and brings forth fruit, as it does also in you, since the day ye heard of it, and knew of the grace of Yah in truth. As ye also learned of Epaphras, our dear fellow servant, who is for you a faithful minister of Mashiach, who also declared unto us your love in the Ruach. For this cause we also, since the day we heard it, do not cease to pray for you, and to desire that ye might be filled with the knowledge of his will in all wisdom and spiritual understanding, that ye might walk worthy of YAHUAH unto all pleasing, being fruitful in every good work and increasing in the knowledge of YAHUAH. Strengthened with all might, according to his glorious power, unto all patience and longsuffering with joyfulness, giving thanks unto the Father, which has made us meet to be partakers of the inheritance of the Kodashim in light, who has delivered us from the power of darkness, and has translated us into the kingdom of his Yahid, in whom we have redemption through his blood, even the forgiveness of sins, who is the image of the invisible Yah, the firstborn of every creature. For by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by him and for him. And he is before all things, and by him all things consist. And he is the head of the body, the called out assembly, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he might have the preeminence. For it pleased the Father that in him should all fullness dwell, and having made peace through the blood of his cross, by him to reconcile all things unto himself. By him I say whether they be things in earth or things in heaven. And you that were sometime alienated and enemies in your mind by wicked works, yet now has he reconciled in the body of his flesh through death, to present you holy and unblameable and unreprovable in his sight. If ye continue in the belief, grounded and settled, and be not moved away from the hope of the Besorah, which ye have heard, and which was preached to every creature which is under heaven. Therefore I, Paul, made a minister, who now rejoice in my sufferings for you, and fill up that which is behind of the afflictions of Mashiach in my body for his sake, which is the called out assembly, whereof I am made a minister, according to the stewardship of Yah, which is given to me for you, to fulfill the word of YAHUAH. Even the mystery which has been hid from ages and from generations, but now has been made manifest to his Kodashim, to whom YAHUAH would make known what is the riches of the glory of this mystery among the other nations, which is Mashiach in you, the hope of glory, whom we preach, warning every man and teaching every man in all wisdom, that we may present every man perfect in Mashiach Yahushua, whereunto I also labor, striving according to his working, which works in me mightily. Okay, so this is kind of a challenging beginning to a lesson or to a letter, for us to understand if we are not seeking the relationship. Okay, so this is the mystery that has been hid from ages and from generation, but now is made manifest unto his Kodashim, or saints. Okay, Kodashim are those who are set apart. So the set apart to a YAHUAH. And the assembly. Okay, so it's in the Greek is ecclesia, the assembly. So those who are now seeking righteousness, seeking YAHUAH with everything that we have, that's in the things that have been hid from ages and from generations are now made manifest to his Kodashim. So those who are seeking the relationship are seeking with a desire to know and a desire to be with. Okay, it's no longer for blessing and benefit. It's a desire to be with. Okay, so that's the Kodashim, are the ones who stand fast and hold firm to the way of YAHUAH. So, to the beginning here, we've spoken about Pa'al in the past, and how that's a word that is more fitting to a group of people, the worker, okay, which is more fitting to us as a group of people as the worker. And that's what he states here at the end of his opening to his letter, is that to whom YAHUAH, verse 27, make known what is the riches of the glory of this mystery among the other nations, which is Mashiach in you, the hope of glory, whom we preach, warning every man and teaching every man in all wisdom, that we may present every man perfect in Mashiach Yahusha, perfect or complete. That's what the word perfect is. So that we may present every man complete in Mashiach Yahusha. Whereunto I also labor, striving according to his working, which works in me mightily. So it's the labor, the worker. And we just got from our, whom we are our relationship partner, that it is YAHUAH who heals. Okay, I am he that heals. So for us to be healed is to be made complete. Okay, so Mashiach, when he healed, his words were, now see that you are complete, go and sin no more. Okay, to be complete, that's perfect. So you want to be perfect or complete, sell your belongings, give to the poor, and then follow me. That's what Mashiach tells the rich man. So for us now, for our understanding, that is what an incredible gift to be complete. Okay, we look at it like no man is perfect. That is true. No man is perfect. In fact, far from it. But we are healed through the Mashiach by YAHUAH, or we are made complete, are perfect through Mashiach by YAHUAH. And then here, for the mystery that we have that's now made manifest, so we have this understanding that this is what we do. Okay, this is what we want, and we want it. And so because we want it, we want the relationship, YAHUAH, through the Ruach HaKodesh, is showing us what is really going on here. What is this life? And then what is the life to look forward to, the life to come? So Paul, the worker, because that's the other part of our role now, is to speak the words of healing, the rivers of living water, and be the light for the world. But we have to also understand here the Kodashim and the lost sheep of the house of Yasharel. As we have Paul, who is sent out to the Gentile, which is the unbeliever. Okay, but the truth is, they're all unbelievers. Okay, those who do not hearken to the way of YAHUAH, okay, or Elohim. The unbeliever creates another god that may have the bearing the name of God, or YAHUAH, Yahweh, Jehovah, or Jesus, Yahusha, Yehoshua. Okay, so it may have these names that are associated with it, but they're not YAHUAH, Elohim, and Yahushua Mashiach. Okay, in his word. So the unbeliever, so those who don't hearken to the way of Yah, they're the unbeliever. Now, the other side of that is that it takes time to know Yahweh Elohim. And we are proved, just like Yasharel's proved there, for what do you want? Okay, what do you want? Do you want the relationship? Do you want blessing? Do you want things your way? Or do you want to go by my will and do what I want for you. So, in the beginning, as we are looking at YAHUAH and Elohim and Yahushua and all of these things, as we're coming to the knowledge of the truth and we're pulling ourselves, taking the leaven out of our lives, we are seeking Him. Okay, that's truly the difference. If we are seeking Him to know Him better, then we are seeking and we will find YAHUAH, Elohim, and Yahushua Mashiach. But if we're not seeking, and if we are saying, okay, I know now who God is, I know who Jehovah is, Yahweh, YAHUAH is, and that's it, and we haven't made up in our mind that this is what we're going to go with, and we stop seeking, then we lose, okay? So, we are called to stay in His Word and be humble and to follow through the Mashiach, who is the completeness of the way of Yah. Okay, so whom we preach, warning every man and teaching every man in all wisdom, that we may present every man perfect in Mashiach Yahushua. Okay, as the example, that's who we are to be like. That's our goal of the Torah, is Mashiach Yahushua. So we can't go out, though, to everybody who receives that as bitter. Okay, these words as bitter. Because the words of YAHUAH are death to them, whereas it's life to us. Okay, so we have to know the difference here, because we are looking for the Kodashim, which are the lost sheep of the house of Yasharel. And the Kodashim it's a process. Okay, it's going to take a little bit of time for the completeness of the way, which will be worked through the Ruach HaKodesh, to develop based off of the desire of the individual. Okay, whether or not they want the completeness, whether or not they're seeking with everything that they have. But that is whom we go to. Okay. So, verse 5 says, for the hope which is laid up for you in heaven are Shamaim, the expanse above, whereof you heard before in the word of the truth, which is the way of Yah. Okay, sanctify them by the truth, your word is truth, of the Besorah, which is the gospel of the good news. So, which you heard before in the word of the truth, which is what we just read today. We just talked about the Song of Mosheh, speaking of the redemption through the Mashiach, which is the Besorah, which is repentance now, come back into relationship. Which has come unto you as it is in all the world, and brings forth fruit as it does also in you, since the day ye heard of it, and knew the grace of Yah in truth. As ye also learned of Epreth, our dear fellow servant, who is for you a faithful minister of Mashiach, who also has declared unto us your love in the Ruach. And then it says, for this cause we also, since the day we heard it, do not cease to pray for you, and to desire that ye might be filled with knowledge of His will in all wisdom and spiritual understanding, that ye might walk worthy of YAHUAH unto all pleasing, being fruitful in every good work and increasing in the knowledge of YAHUAH. So that is something that we should really consider in our lives. Are we worthy of YAHUAH? Are we living our lives worthy to be with YAHUAH? So that all comes from the knowledge of His will through His word, and in all wisdom and spiritual understanding, which then is sanctification for the Ruach HaKodesh. So verse 11 says, strengthen with all might according to His glorious power unto all patience and longsuffering with joyfulness, giving thanks unto the Father, which has made us meet to be partakers of the inheritance of the Kodashim in light, who has delivered us from the power of darkness and translated us into the kingdom of His Yachid, beloved one, beloved Son, in whom we have redemption through His blood, even the forgiveness of sins, who is the image of the invisible Yah, the firstborn of every creature. For by Him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by Him and for Him. And He is before all things, and by Him all things consist. Very important for us to understand that, because we'll look at the terrible things that happen in this world, the oppression and whatever we see as bad, but all things were created by Him and for Him. Okay, and then the whole point of this life is to know the will of Yah, to be in relationship, and then to go forth with the healing. In verse 18, and he is the head of the body, the called out assembly, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, Mashiach, Yahushua. He is the head of the body of the called out assembly, the called out assembly of the Kodashim, who are seeking righteousness out of love, the desire for relationship through Mashiach, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he might have the preeminence. For it pleased the Father that in him should all fullness dwell. And having made peace through the blood of his cross, by him to reconcile all things unto himself, by him, I say, whether they be things in earth or things in heaven. And you that were sometime alienated and enemies in your mind by wicked works, yet now has he reconciled in the body of his flesh through death, to present you holy and unblameable and unreprovable in his sight. Okay? To be complete, though, complete in the way of Yah. That's the opportunity through the Messiah. It says, if you continue in the belief, grounded and settled, and be not moved away from the hope of the Besorah, which ye have heard, and which was preached to every creature which is under heaven, wherefore I, Paul, am made a minister, who now rejoice in my sufferings for you, and fill up that which is behind of the afflictions of Mashiach in my flesh for his body's sake, the called out assembly's sake, which is the called out assembly. Whereof I am made a minister according to the stewardship of Yah, which is given to me for you, to fulfill the word of Yah. To fulfill, or be the completeness of. Fulfill there is the same word fulfill that Yahushua used in Matthew chapter 7, where he said that I have come not to destroy the Torah and the prophets, but to fulfill. Okay? And he says, wherefore, Paul in chapter 1, verse 25 says, wherefore I am made a minister according to the stewardship of Yah, which is given to me for you to fulfill the word of YAHUAH. Pleru is the word fulfill, which means to be complete, or the fullness of, to fill up the word of YAHUAH. Now, we are given these opportunities through Yahushua HaMashiach. But our role, or our desire, first off, should be for relationship, not for benefit. We should be looking at it as the gift of being together now. Okay, it's just not to walk in this world till when we turn to him, we will have, the physical desires that we want, that will be blessed in that way. We are blessed with the opportunity of relationship through Yahushua our Messiah. And it's the relationship that we should seek first in all things. So we sing the Song of Mosheh, and then we sing the Song of the Lamb. Okay, so we'll stop there, and I hope that these words have blessed you as they have blessed me. And I hope that you continue to stay in his word and seek him, seek the relationship, and pray for the knowledge. Okay, when we're saying our prayers, pray for the knowledge and understanding and wisdom through his word, so that we do have that opportunity to draw nearer through the Ruach HaKodesh. Okay, have a wonderful day today, and we'll be back here tomorrow, and we will continue on with our study of Parashah Beshalach. Thank you.